The good economic news that's been coming out over the past few months in America seems like good news for Joe Biden, but it's probably not good news for people whose actual lived experience with the economy on a day-to-day basis is one of, anxiety and stress and fear for the future and anger over the way things have gone. And so we want to dive into this disconnect between the macroeconomic figures that you see on the front page of the New York Times and what people are actually thinking. And we're going to be jumping into the results of an Axios Vibes survey by the Harris poll. And I am glad that this survey was done. I would like to ask Axios to change its name and stop using emojis for your poll. But other than that, I'm interested in the results. So here are some of their findings. 6 in 10 surveyed say that they're now triggered by trips to the grocery store. So basically the idea is that that's one of the places that people feel inflation the most. In fact, 72% say that that's the top way that they feel inflation is the cost of food. Republicans are more likely than other respondents to say they're angry about high prices, although Biden is in charge, so it's possible that that's affecting things. Renters are disproportionately likely to say that they are anxious. And once you dive into other sort of ways of measuring how people see the financial future, again, it's not looking great. 37% of Americans rate their financial situations as poor. 42% of Republicans say that. 43% of women, nearly half of rural residents, nearly half of singles, and more than half of renters say their financial situation is poor. And those are not the numbers that you want to see going into a general election year, regardless of whether, good unemployment numbers come out or inflation has ticked down a bit. It doesn't really matter if people aren't feeling it, and clearly people aren't feeling it. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, there's this narrative that I just don't understand, that anybody who thinks that the economy is bad, right? They're wrong, because the economy is really good. And you see this on the left a lot, people trying to sell Biden's economy as a win and that everything's great. And that people who believe otherwise are just misled by TikTok. It's unfortunately very common. I don't understand that. Like, people can see their bank account. People know how much they're paying for things, and they can see that their material circumstances are worse than they were a few years ago. Granted, there was a temporary boost because Trump cut taxes in a regressive way for people. I mean, the corporations got their taxes cut permanently, but there's a slight boost and people can see there's a difference. And now you couple in inflation, it gets worse. People know what they're doing. People aren't stupid about their own finances. People who only look at data in aggregate, who only look at spreadsheets or polls and say, oh, well, the economy is great. They're totally erasing the individual experience of that economy. If you have stocks, sure, maybe you're doing well, but the vast majority of people don't, and don't make their income from day trading or retail trading. It's a paycheck. And when things are more expensive at the store and you're paying an individual tax rate, not a capital gains tax, it's a very different environment.
100%, and you need to reassure people of that. Like, you've had people in the Biden administration coming out and saying, we're not getting the credit that we deserve or whatever, which, look, I think there are some things that were done that maybe people aren't thinking of that theoretically, if they were to give some speeches, they could try to get some credit for. But what you need to do is reassure people that you understand the struggles they're facing and you're going to try to do something to fix it. Like, you may not be able to unilaterally actually just pass something. I mean, if you're literally to pass a bill just designed to make groceries cheaper, the Republicans would 100% torpedo it because they don't care. They want Biden to fail. Like, that's simply indisputable. But you could take some of these numbers. Like, people think that rent is too high. They don't think that it's likely that they'll be able to own a home. Propose something to help stimulate more, construction of new homes, or like literally do something. I honestly don't know. I've seen that Biden is doing his speeches or whatever. So he gave the speech about fascism, a speech about white supremacy. All of that is good. All that's concerning. What is he running on? Like, I understand what he's running against. I get that. Trump and fascism and all of that. But what, like, you need to be able to give an elevator pitch of, here are 3 bills that he's gonna try to fast track if he gets into office. And I don't know one. I honestly don't, Jordan. And maybe I'm in a bubble. Have you heard him or Harris talk about legislation that they want to pass? A reason to elect Democrats to the Senate and to give them control of the House again?
No, it's It's like a vibes-based message. We got to protect the soul of the country. We need to protect democracy. These are abstract things that don't affect people's everyday lives in a way that they can really identify. It's not tangible to them. Sure, yeah, we do want to protect democracy, but A, is that going to be a motivating factor to get people out to the polls? And B, are they really going to understand how that affects their everyday lives? It does in a way, but what people really need immediate relief on are bills, addressing inflation, how much money they're spending on things, how much money they're spending on rent. Their quality of life is how they see the outcome or outputs of your time as a public servant, whether you're president, a member of Congress, whatever. And they associate those outcomes and their material conditions with you and your policies. I don't know what their platform is. I'm totally with you. I don't know what their platform is beyond stopping Trump, protecting democracy, and then kind of mentioning abortion, but what are they doing beyond that? We don't want it to get worse. Everything is about not wanting things to get worse. Where's the proactive messaging? What else are you going to do? Maybe they'll roll that out later in the year, but I don't know. And you need to get energy up. You need to get momentum up.
And even like, it could be on the easy stuff. Like, say you're going to have legislation enshrining the right to abortion, or even like say you're going to try to pass a constitutional amendment. Like literally just, again, take the thing that you're saying you'll protect and make it affirmative thing you're going to do about it. It is not that difficult. And people need to see it. They need to have something to vote for. Because if it's just about protecting us from Donald Trump, then I will return to what I've been saying for the past year. Any Democrat would stop Trump from winning, and other Democrats from the fascist turn that he wants to take America on, and other Democrats have a better chance of beating him. So if that's all it is, if it's not like you have some particular agenda that is different from Gavin Newsom or Pritzker or whatever, then just get out of the way and let someone else stand between him and the Supreme Court or him and bodily autonomy. Again, like they're not making any claims as to why they are uniquely positioned to do these things, why we should be excited to vote for them. And that's why people are hurting. And so we still have time. As you say, they can introduce these bills. Ideally they will, but we will see. You have any final point to make? I know we're close to the end.
I'm just writing in Brett again for the third cycle in a row. So we'll see if that works.
I don't know that it's going to, but Godspeed. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.